Guys, I want to tell you about our friends over at Frostbuddy. It is drinkware engineered to keep your beverages exactly how you want them. Whether you're heading out for an adventure or just powering through your day, Frostbuddy's flagship product, the Universal Buddy, replaces the need for multiple can coolers by fitting virtually every 12-ounce and 16-ounce can bottle you drink, sodas and seltzers to coffee and sparkling water, all in a single versatile design. Constructed with high quality double walled stainless steel and thoughtful features like a flexible silicone lid and a tapered shape that fits most cup holders, Frostbuddy keeps drinks cold for 12 hours and hot for up to 6 hours. So you get consistent temperature control, whether it's an iced drink on a hot afternoon or a hot coffee on the drive to work. Built to last, field tested for durability, and backed by a 30-day return policy, Frostbuddy makes everyday moments from tailgates and beach days to backyard cookouts and commutes more enjoyable. Going over and click the link below and use promo code SSS15 to get 15% off of your first purchase when you visit our friends over at frostbuddy.com. And when you use that promo code SSS15. Are you tired of spending upwards of $7 to $8 on coffees that are full of sugar and high in fat? Well, look no further than Chike Nutrition, the brand redefining what coffee can do for your day. Chike Nutrition combines the rich, familiar taste of real coffee with 20 grams of high-quality protein and the energy of 2 shots of espresso, giving you both fuel and function in every scoop. Available in a variety of crave-worthy flavors like mocha, caramel, vanilla, and many more, Chike delivers smooth, cafe-style iced coffee that mixes instantly with water or your favorite milk, with no clunky blender or complicated prep needed. Each serving is designed to be low in sugar, packed with protein, and loaded with real espresso, so that you can get a sustained energy that helps power your morning, workout, or busy afternoon without the crash that comes from sugary coffee drinks. Whether you're looking for better nutrition in your coffee routine or a smarter way to stay energized and full longer, Chike makes it simple. Scoop, shake, sip, and enjoy. If you want to take advantage of the new year and get in the best shape of your life, click the link below and get yourself 10% off of your first order over at ChikeNutrition.com. Well, we've had an eventful day, haven't we? It's not like anything in college football happened recently, huh? I mean, it's just another day. It's another day in the world of college football. Guys, we're jam-packed a lot on top of a beautiful, beautiful night here in the great state of Louisiana. Today is Tuesday, June 9th, 2026. And guess what? We got a lot to talk about tonight. Because we got a lot of college football talk that you and I are going to have to discuss. We're going to have to break down. And quite frankly, going to have some uncomfortable conversations. So you guys, do me a favor. Get involved in the show, please. I need some volunteers. I need some guys that are wanting to get involved in the show. But guys, y'all do me a favor. Y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live, posting a video or post a news short here on the Southern Sports Scene. Every live show, as always, brought to you by our good friends over at Frostbuddy. Going over to frostbuddy.com. Use that promo code SSS15 to get 15% off your first purchase. That is code SSS15 to get 15% off of your first purchase on all things mugs, tumblers, cups, whatever it is. Also want to thank you to our friends over at Chike Nutrition. Click the link below to get yourself 10% off of your first purchase on all things iced coffee, protein style too. 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, 1 gram of sugar, so that you can get every day started with the best possible start to your day. Check out our friends over at ChikeNutrition.com. And as always, guys, we are proud and honored to partner with our good friends over at the Buzzer app. Download the Buzzer app today to get yourself possibly verified as an online content creator. As we all know, Brennan Sorsby has been named eligible for the upcoming season in a Lubbock County judge, or via a Lubbock County judge. Guys, listen. We have had a lot of speculation and a lot of potential back and forth, potential things that could happen with this ongoing decision that is set to have a court date on February 8th, which is 2 weeks following the national championship. Thank you to the Lubbock County courts for doing this. That's all you can say if you're a Texas Tech fan. Is it how I wanted Brennan Sorsby to be eligible? No. And I think a lot of people in Lubbock have felt the same way. I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all for feeling like this because, number one, it just doesn't seem to add up. It doesn't seem to add up at all. The thing about this whole situation is he gambled on his team, and it doesn't help either that there's now reports that came out that said he bet the under on the amount of passing yards and the point spread on the game because they knew that it wasn't going into, at the time, Indiana's favor. There's many people that are saying that this is technically, well, it is actually illegal. But you're going across state lines and doing things like this. Guys, that's going to cause a lot of issues when it is all said and done. Make no mistake about it. You and I know it. You and I are not stupid to believe that this is not true. We know it's been happening. We know it's going to continue to happen. And the only difference between his situation and what has happened recently with other players that were deemed ineligible for betting on their team, a la the Hunter Dekkers situation from Iowa State, or there was another offensive lineman from Iowa that had the same thing, is that this is a $5 million quarterback. Iowa State and Iowa didn't have the NIL at that time in 2022 or 23 when this whole situation took place to, I wouldn't necessarily say defend those guys, but give them the platform to say, we can keep you on because of this, this, and that. So now I think that the whole state of Texas now is the ultimate villain in college football. I thought it was going to be Texas Tech that was the whole villain. Guys, you still have to remember, and excuse my language when I do say this, who's talking shit on the other end? Who's talking shit in Austin about your program? And they're offering to play you. Just saying. I'm putting that out there. And they said they can beat you with their twos. There's a lot of pressure in when we talk about a team like the Texas Longhorns, and there's a lot of pressure now when we talk about a team like Texas Tech. Because guess who put themselves in this situation? Them and them alone. When you run your mouth like you have the last several freaking years, really the last several months, honestly, but I mean, there's been a lot of talk from a lot of SEC pundits about the state of where the Big 12 is now that the NIL revenue is coming in for a team like Texas Tech, and they're able to spread the money around and be able to develop them at a high level. Guess what? Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? You have nobody else to blame but the people that wanted this crap to happen. And this is not a political thing. This is a financial thing that is very real in college football. Is the integrity of the sport gone at this point? Yes. Does the NCAA have power anymore? No. It's a great thing because I have been saying that the NCAA needs to be abolished. And now you have situations like this. You have the Nico Iamaleava case with the private jet that he had whenever he was on his recruitment trip. You have the Trinidad Chambliss eligibility case. The Caden Proctor case. You have the Luke Farrelly ordeal of the supposed tampering that's going on right now in college football. Because remember, those two have a lot in common than we really realize. When money plays a factor into this thing, Caden Proctor was already signed with Iowa. And you know what Alabama did? They dropped a bag on him and gave them more NIL money. And in my opinion, I think that Caden Proctor found a way to get out of his contract in Iowa. He took the money and then was gone after, I think, a couple weeks at Iowa and went back to Bama. Really smart move, in my opinion. But honestly, listen, it's crappy. But guys, listen. There's so many people that we could blame. There's so many things that could have gone so much better. That could have been a lot better because of all this. But guess whose fault that is? Guess who is responsible for how this whole situation turned out? This whole situation where the NCAA is sitting in a power struggle. And guess what? I think they don't have the power anymore. It is on nobody else. It is, well, yes. It's no one else's fault, but really when we gave power to the local courts, when the NCAA doesn't put their foot down and says, no, we're not letting the local courts handle this. This is a national thing. This is a college football thing. Yep. This ain't right. So, I don't think that Texas Tech is to blame for Brendan Sorsby being ineligible. Do I think that they played a role into helping him get eligible? Oh, hell yeah. Make no mistake about it. I think Cody Campbell paid a hell of a lot of money behind the back of the judge because guess what? That shit still exists. Believe it. So, I only say this. We're going to go to a Super League. Make no mistake about that. And you know what's going to happen? The Big Ten and the SEC are going to pick their shit up. They're going to walk out the door. And you know what they're going to bring with them? Money. So who's going to follow behind them? There's going to be I think probably 3 or 4 from the ACC. And maybe 3 or 4 from the Big 12. The rest of them are going to be in a lower division. And I've heard a lot of different propositions as to what might happen with this whole ordeal, because you have on one end, you have the highest tier of the Super League, you have like a bottom tier, like that's the middle, where you would see like teams like Duke or Mississippi State or Vanderbilt, and then you have the bottom tier where it's basically your bottom feeders at that point, where you have your Rutgers, your who else am I thinking of? I guess apart from this past year, I guess Virginia could be considered that, but I don't think they're at that point now. I think they're at a good point right now with the portal and how they've been able to attack that recently. I think they're evolving into a very, very good middle that can squeak out a 10-win season every 3 years or so if all the right pieces are in order. But that's a Virginia team that I think can consistently get to 7 or 8 wins year after year. We'll do a deep dive on them later on in the show. But listen, I think that this whole situation was incredibly ridiculous. And it goes to show you how when you put the power of college football and things like this in the hands of the state, and when you put it in the hands of a local judge, it is always going to benefit the athlete. And it's always going to benefit whoever is the judge at that point, because they know their political career is at stake. They're not going to deny it because this is ridiculous. Because they're not going to do it. Because, number one, I believe that they would be committing political suicide at that point. And I don't know if you can say that word on YouTube. I'm not sure. But, it just doesn't seem... That's why that first judge recused himself. But guess what? The judge that's on the court right now, they're still Texas Tech alums. So what does that tell you? That there's still people involved in these types of cases. There's still people that are going to influence the outcome of the NCAA's ruling. That's going to overrule it. When a preliminary injunction is put in place, unfortunately for the NCAA, there's nothing that they can do about it because it's a restraining order. It's nothing against the NCAA. I personally don't like the NCAA. I've had a very, very strong vendetta against the NCAA for the last 3 years. I'm glad that we're getting close to being dissolved of the NCAA. Do I wish that it was handled better? Absolutely. No question about it. I think that there's a better way to handle situations like this from where the NCAA is. Or from, I shouldn't say where the NCAA is, from the standpoint of regulation and what powers control certain outcomes of the NCAA. If we have this Super League with your commissioners, whether it be Nick Saban, whether it be the SEC, Big 12, and Big 10 coming together, Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey coming together to be the commissioners of this or whatnot, to be honest, it would work out a lot better if we have guys that are actually involved in the sport of football to run this Super League. If we have commissioners of conferences running this, it would be a mess. And it would be absolutely horrible. It would be a complete disaster. I'm not all in for it. I'm sorry. I'm just not. So, obviously, there's people like Cody Campbell that's going to say this. So now that we have the outcome of the court case now, What is the perception of Texas Tech? What should we perceive Texas Tech as now that we've entered this situation? In my opinion, I think Texas Tech, as much as I'd like to say that they're the villain of college football, that's a good thing. I don't think we understand how awesome it is to have a villain right now in college football. You know? It's been a while since we've had a villain. Alabama was it for a long time because they won. Now you got Texas Tech because of this situation. You have Texas because Steve Sarkisian has a circle that's big as brick on his back that people are wanting to take a shot at. That people are wanting to legitimately try and shut him down. That people are on his ass saying, hey, it's put up or shut up time now. I'm being straight up with you. So, where do we go from here when it comes to that villain aspect of college football? It's going to be shared. Make no mistake about it. But, again, like I said, it is a very, very good thing. It is an awesome thing. It's better than what we all expect. It's better than what, honestly, it's better than what anybody could have thought, in my opinion. Straight up. So, again, the villain aspect of college football has to return. I think it's been lacking that for a very long time, and I think it's about time somebody brought that back. And I think that it's going to sustain for a while. I think the state of Texas is going to bring that. It's really been, honestly, I want to say 2 years or so. I wouldn't necessarily say Michigan was the villain of college football in 2023. I think it was a great story. Make no mistake about that. But I think that eventually there was a lot of people that were rooting for them because of all the NCAA had done and all the NCAA was trying to do with the situation with Jim Harbaugh, with all that happened during the Connor Stallions fiasco. And then for the outcome to be they keep their national championship. There's no hammer really that's dropped. So, if you really think about it, I wouldn't necessarily say Michigan was a villain. I can look back and take you to the Bama years where after they won that first national championship, people were tired of them winning, and they eventually became the villain for a brief moment, but it never really felt like that. But if you want to talk about a real villain of college football, man, the University of Miami in the 80s, when you talk about teams that were just ruthless, when you talk about guys on that team that just did not care, they were the bad boys of college football for a reason. I think Texas Tech would have that kind of renegade mentality with them. Crazy as it sounds. Now it's put up a shut-up time for both teams in Texas. Brendan Sorsby is back. So what does that mean for Texas Tech? It means you have your quarterback by the time you start Big 12 play against Houston. That Houston game is going to be in a lot more now, and now the odds are going to shift to the favor of Tech. It's at home. You have your quarterback, and guess what? What does Houston's defense look like? We'll see. I've talked to Parker Ainsworth of Locked On Cougs. You can check out our State of the Program video on them. But it always begs the question of what is going to be expected of Tech by the time we get to week 3. What is the overall perception of Tech going to be? Teams can boycott them, but it doesn't seem to make sense to boycott all athletics. Texas Tech didn't make the decision to make Brennan Sorsby eligible. That was the courts that said Brennan Sorsby was eligible. Do I think that there were boosters, a la Cody Campbell, that were involved in this? Yes. Let's be real with each other. I mean, it's not like this is a freaking secret. It's not like we're stupid enough to think that a team like Tech would just would how do I say it? Would pay a judge to would pay a judge to make him eligible to rule in their favor? No, I wouldn't believe that. I don't know. I think we both know. And I think we're not stupid either. I would consider us pretty intelligent human beings. For the most part, I think. But I guess that's just my opinion. And again, what does my opinion matter? So, guess what? We'll just have to see. All right. We got a lot more to talk about tonight. We got about, I want to say 30 minutes left in our show. But listen, you and I are still going to have to talk about what's going on over with our friends in Virginia. I didn't think that we'd be talking about Virginia and doing a deep dive on the Cavaliers, but look, Virginia coming off an incredible season this past year, and look, was it a fluke is the question. I'm going to be straight up with you. I don't think that it was a fluke at all. I think that was a massive season for Tony Elliott this past year. I think that this team is going to continue to build on the ACC. The thing is that being in a conference where the competition level has fallen off dramatically is going to play into Virginia's favor and keep them on top, within the top 5 in the ACC over the next several years. And I firmly believe that as long as Tony Elliott is your head coach. So, again, we don't know just yet with what this team is going to look like from a whole standpoint. But listen, this past year with this past transfer portal season was massive for Virginia. You got your quarterback to replace Chandler Morris and Bo Prabula. I really like the fact that you went out and you got guys to commit to this program. You got guys that are going to be really, really freaking good. And as good as they, listen, Virginia had a better transfer portal class. They had a top 50 transfer portal class. They were better than the following: Houston, Arizona, Utah, all three of which I am expecting to be contending for 10-win seasons in the Big 12. Now, when you look at Virginia, what did they get in the transfer portal? Like I mentioned, you get a guy like Bo Pribula, who I thought showed signs of being a consistent quarterback in a good system. Is he going to fit this Desmond Kitchens offense well? Look at what Chandler Morris was able to do last year. I thought that Morris's ability to scramble was terrific. And that is what Bo Pribula's game is all about. I think that both of them are very similar in the way that they play. I think Pribula is a bit more mobile than Morris, and I think that's an area of his game that he is going to want to expand upon. I think that Morris had some really good moments this past year, but I think Pribula is about to take that offense and go to a whole new level with where they are at. I think that you got some really solid wins this past year. Obviously, the Florida State one was the beginning of the downfall for FSU as a fluke program. You also had some close wins that could have gone your way down the stretch of the season. I thought Virginia could have very easily gone to North Carolina State and could have came out with the victory in there. I really believe that. And look, that's a good game that we got between two really good quarterbacks in CJ Bailey in CJ Bailey and Chandler Morris. Here's the problem though, is that what killed Virginia was late game turnovers. Late turnovers were a killer for them in key games. And look, they had moments where they could have gone down the field and won. It's hard to replace guys like Jamari Taylor, who's now in the NFL with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You have a lot that you have to still recover from. Trell Harris is now no longer part of your program. He's now at Oklahoma. That was a massive loss for you. You lost some pretty important guys off the edge, I think, that were really important to your program. Guys that were real game changers, man. I mean, incredible game changers, and guys that I thought made a massive difference for you. And it sucks that they are no longer part of that program. But I do think that when we talk about guys that are part of Virginia and are part of this program, there's a lot that I'm really excited about. I think a guy like Fisher Kamek, who's going to be coming back this year, 4.5 sacks in 2025, had 7.5 this past year. He's going to have his production ramped up a decent bit. Jason Hammond in the middle is a kind of undersized at 295, but he is a force and was always in the backfield consistently. You miss out on guys like Mitchell Melton, who's now with the Indianapolis Colts. Ethan Minter, you bring in guys like that back. The loss of Devin Neal is going to hurt you. But look, man, I think a guy like Anthony Britton can take a big step forward as a defensive tackle for his for his fourth year, for his last season, and be a consistent playmaker. You brought in a guy like Matthew Fobbs-White, who I really love, man. I think he's a phenomenal edge presence. I think his motor is really high. He was a Neville guy. I watched him whenever he was at Neville. He's been around college football for a while, and he's a guy that has always found a way to get to the football. He's a guy that's going to be really good if he is healthy. And he is a guy that I really like, guys. I really do. We've seen some really good things that he's done at other schools. He goes to Tulane in 2024. He He had a 91.3 pass rush grade. That was the highest on the team, and had a lot of massive moments as a Green Wave. Unfortunately, just couldn't see the field at Tulane, or not at Tulane, but at over at Baylor. I think he's going to play a decent role position. I think he's a guy that can come in and easily get off the edge and put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, especially with how I'm expecting offensive line to be in the ACC. It's, in my opinion, it just hasn't been good in recent years, and that's something I'm always going to have to expect very often from not. So that's a big thing that we have to talk about. The receiver room obviously takes a hit, but I think you got guys that are going to be underrated in this department. Peyton Lewis, you brought in from Tennessee. I really like Peyton Lewis. I was a Peyton Lewis fan. I wish he would have gotten a little bit more carries this past year. I know he had to split with guys like Deshaun Bishop and Star Thomas. Still, Lewis is third on the depth chart and averages over 4 yards a carry and has 7 scores. So he's a guy that I think can elevate himself into the starting lineup for Virginia, and he can be a very, very good back and a guy that I think can fill the role of a Jamari Taylor really, really easily. Crazy as it sounds, and crazy to consider the hole, the hole that Jamari Taylor left in that running back room for Tech or for Virginia, but I think that a guy like Peyton Lewis is going to fill that role really, really efficiently, better than what we expect. You look at the schedule this year, well, really fast before we continue on, Alex Payne was a solid left tackle, and I think a guy that can slide into that role. I think he could be one of the ACC's best offensive tackles when it's all said and done. 6'6", 315 pounds, guy that's going to find a way to be competitive in the trenches, and a guy that is going to be nasty, man. A really, really, really good football player when it is all said and done. One guy that I think we're not talking about enough, and I don't expect us to talk about a lot, is going to be Brandon Hillman. Heard some people say some things about him that were really good. Obviously, because he went to Michigan. Found his way into the lineup for Michigan. Had some moments as a football player. Did some pretty decent things. Was always on the involved. Was an all Big Ten honorable mention in 2025. So I think that he's a game tackler. He's a guy that's going to be on every tackle in a game, and I think he's going to be a consistent playmaker in the backfield. He's a guy that I really, really enjoy watching, and a guy that I think can easily fill a role that needs to be filled in the secondary, which is obviously going to take a big hit if we're talking about a team like Virginia. And you look at the amount of talent they lost in this past year to the portal and to the NFL draft, it's hard not to deny how they've been able to replace so many guys, and for Virginia to stay a consistent threat as an elite ACC defense, where you saw moments where they could and then moments where they just fell apart, man. All right, so looking at their schedule, again, coming off an 11-win season and a team that honestly should have been in the college football playoff. The schedule, believe it or not, is going to be very favorable to them. But I think that their season is going to come down to what happens against North Carolina State that first game of the year at Scott Stadium. They win that football game, I think that they could be in the driver's seat for an 8-win season. I think their ceiling, when I'm looking at this right now, and this is being completely honest with you, 4. I think the ceiling, to be quite real, is 6 wins. I think, or not the ceiling, the floor is definitely 6 wins. I think this could be a 9 or 10 win team again. But I think I'm going to go and stick with my gut. I'm going to go 8 win. I'm going to go 8-4 this year. I think this is a Virginia team that is going to consistently be right at the top of the ACC. I think they're going to continue to show why they are one of the ACC's best and why they continue to be a rising program in the ACC. Tony Elliott got himself off the hot seat this past year. He's going to get a grace period this year because of how that success carries over. But you get to 2027, if they have another really bad year, if they miss expectations in 2026, they have another bad year in 2027, 2028 could be the year where Tony Elliott is no longer the head coach over at the University of Virginia. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching us all the time. Make sure you all do us a favor. Y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live, posting a video or posting a new short on the Southern sports scene. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, stay blessed and don't stress. Y'all have a great rest of the week.